Max Verstappen isn't just losing pace right now. He is losing patience with a car he actually fears driving. Welcome to this high-speed explainer. Today we're diving straight into the absolute aerodynamic crisis that's currently threatening to derail Red Bull's entire Formula One season.
Picture this, all right? You're throwing your car into Stowe Corner at the British Grand Prix. You're carrying an insane amount of speed. Then, out of nowhere, the rear end just totally gives up. You are violently sent spinning right off the circuit, ending up beached in the gravel. And Max's immediate reaction, broadcast over the team radio? Well, it was an explosive, expletive-laden condemnation of his own RB22, right before he furiously hurled his steering wheel out of the cockpit.
Section 1. The Silverstone Incident.
Speaking to the media afterward, Max did not mince his words. He literally called the failure super dangerous. And you know, when you're an F1 driver doing over 150 miles per hour, completely relying on downforce to keep you glued to the tarmac, a sudden, unpredictable aero failure isn't just a minor setup headache, it's a massive safety hazard. He made it crystal clear. When the car snaps like that without warning, you can seriously hurt yourself. He is totally fed up with relying on unpredictable equipment.
But the scariest part? This wasn't some isolated fluke. It is a terrifying pattern. Just 1 week earlier in Austria, right during the pressure cooker of the Q3 qualifying session, Verstappen was pitched straight into the barriers at the penultimate corner because of a similar aerodynamic issue. And then, exactly 1 race later at Silverstone, the exact same outcome. A sudden spin, this time ending in the gravel. That's 2 consecutive race weekends featuring high-speed, wing-induced incidents.
Section 2. The Macarena Wing Failure.
To understand what's breaking, we got to look at the mechanics. Back in Miami, Red Bull introduced their own interpretation of the headline-grabbing Macarena wing. Now, while Ferrari's version of this wing rotates front to back in a pretty dramatic way, Red Bull went for a simpler motion, rotating up and over from the rear. The goal here is to create a visibly larger opening, aiming to give them massive drag reduction and a serious straight-line speed advantage when it's deployed.
But here is the catastrophic sequence of events. Think of it like a slow-motion technical replay. Verstappen deploys the straight mode to maximize his top speed. Then, he slams on the brakes to re-enter corner mode at Stowe. At that precise millisecond, the rear wing fails to fully close. The result? An instant, terrifying loss of downforce that immediately pitches the car completely out of control. Max basically has zero idea if or when that wing is going to falter.
Red Bull team principal Laurent Mekies has openly acknowledged they're in crisis mode here. He noted how incredibly unpleasant it is for a driver to be let down like this in high-speed corners 2 rounds in a row. He's promising an urgent review, insisting they will leave absolutely zero chance for this to repeat. With all options on the table, they are even considering parking the Macarena concept entirely and rolling back to a pre-Miami spec rear wing for the upcoming race at Spa.
Section 3. A super dangerous pattern.
You have to remember, in Formula One, drivers are pushing for every last millisecond. To do that, they require 100% absolute confidence that when they hit the braking zone, the car is going to bite into the asphalt. This kind of aerodynamic unpredictability just completely ruins corner entry. It led to what Verstappen called a terrible balance all weekend long and forces the team into some really unwanted setup compromises. You simply cannot extract maximum performance if you're constantly bracing for a sudden loss of rear grip.
Section 4. The Power Deficit Crisis.
As if the aero issues weren't enough, there's another massive headache: 4 kilometers per hour. That is the agonizing straight-line speed deficit Verstappen was suffering compared to his own teammate Izek Hadjar in the final corners. The data proves Max was just running out of power, which actually led to a very rare intra-team qualifying defeat for him. He was bleeding lap time exactly where a Formula One car should be at its most potent.
Things felt so bad on Saturday that Verstappen actively requested to sacrifice his 7th-place grid spot. He wanted to swap out power unit components, make drastic setup changes, and just start from the pit lane. But the team overruled him. Mekies noted that while a pit lane start might have felt better to drive, they believed starting 7th yielded a better chance at points. This obviously created some major internal friction, with Verstappen stating pretty flatly, they were maybe confident to fix it, which I was not.
So why exactly is Red Bull suffering from this power deficit? Well, it all comes down to a bureaucratic straitjacket known as ADO, or Additional Development Opportunities. It's an FIA regulatory system designed to help teams catch up by allocating mid-season upgrade tokens. But here's the catch. These tokens are awarded strictly based on the performance of the internal combustion engine, the ICE.
This ADO system perfectly illustrates the massive trap Red Bull is caught in. Officially, the FIA ranks Red Bull as having the absolute best internal combustion engine in the sport. And because they're ranked number 1, they receive 0 development tokens. None. Meanwhile, their fierce rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari are ranked lower, meaning they are actively being handed critical in-season tokens to develop their engines.
But here is the fatal flaw making Red Bull absolutely furious. The ADA system only measures the combustion engine. It completely ignores the electrical deployment elements. And right now, Mercedes is widely believed to be vastly superior in electrical power deployment. So Mercedes gets this massive overall power advantage out on the track, yet because their combustion engine is technically ranked lower, the FIA continues to reward them with upgrade tokens while Red Bull gets absolutely nothing.
Section 5. Red Bull's Urgent Fix. Red Bull is officially challenging these ADO results with the FIA before the next race at Spa, but they are terrified of being permanently locked out of upgrades. Why? Because their rivals can legally game the system. Teams like Audi and Mercedes can use their tokens to upgrade drivability and reliability rather than raw IC power. If the rivals never improve their combustion engines, Red Bull's benchmark status remains artificially frozen at number 1, and the window for them to ever earn an upgrade token will just permanently stay closed.
So when you combine a bureaucratic lockdown on engine upgrades with a rear wing that randomly fails at 150 miles per hour, you get this really ominous post-race reflection from the world champion. Max admitted, "It would take a very zen person to be optimistic at the moment," adding that he needed a few days just to reset. This isn't just about a bad weekend. This is a profound dissatisfaction with the current state of his machinery.
Which leaves us with this final explosive question to close out our explainer. Verstappen is heavily believed to have an exit clause that could make him a free agent at the end of the season. Now, Mercedes might be locked down and other teams lack roster flexibility, but given his intense frustration over these mounting safety and performance failures, is it really guaranteed that Max Verstappen will even be on the grid in a Red Bull in 2027? It's absolute high-stakes motorsport drama, and the clock is ticking for the team to fix this before it's too late. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Deep Dive.